Your topic is little big, so I would like to tell students that whatever we have done in the first part of module 5. So first part of module 5 is actually from our syllabus. It is the series hybrid electric drivetrain design. So in that case, case study, it is not mentioned in the syllabus, but I have assigned a difficult topic to these two people because they have won quite a lot of prizes and they are into this designing and all. So these are actually specialist people. Farhan, in the slide actually, the first line, the division, उसके पहले एक tab मारो. वो थोड़ा alignment गड़बड़ हो गया. First line, Farhan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just put a tab before that. Fine, save and upload. So what I wanted to tell students that this is actually what we have done in the first part of module 5, and whatever theory we have done, that is design of engine, design of motor, and design of PPS. So this design thing, whatever they are going to explain, is actually a part of our syllabus. It will not be asked in the exam, but directly from our syllabus knowledge, we can understand this. So I have invited these two people to take this topic. So far, this is the most difficult topic because this is design related. So please listen to this, what these people explain, and you take your time to explain it. So don't hurry because we know the basics
Yes.
from our syllabus. So please take time and explain it properly. Every step of design. Thank you. Please proceed, start.
Thank you. So today I, Ganesh Patil and Farhan will be explaining series hybrid drivetrain design with a small design example. We'll consider some vehicle parameters and we'll explain how we calculate those parameters accordingly. Next. Farhan, next.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you are
Slide
audible.
number
You first explain what are the
Hello.
topics you are going to explain.
Hello, Ganesh.
Yeah, you are audible.
So I guess Ganesh has a network issue.
Hello. Sir, am I audible?
Both are audible. Farhan, start explaining.
Uh, Hello. Yes, sir. Sir, I'll explain it. Actually, Ganesh was going to give the introduction about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whatever it is,
Farhan,
you
next
just
slide. Yeah.
fine. Next slide. Yep.
Farhan, go to the next slide.
Oh, Hello.
This is slide number 3. Considerations for design example.
Yeah. So whenever we design, we are going to design a drivetrain. We have to see for what application we will be using our electric vehicle. Accordingly, we'll consider what will be the payload and on what surfaces will run. So these consideration are prerequisite for any design related problems. So like vehicle mass, the total operator plus load and the vehicle itself, how much it will weigh in total. Rolling resistance will differ from surface to surface. So on which surface the vehicle will be mostly used, that surface rolling resistance coefficient will be considered. Aerodynamic drag, again, it will depend on the shape of the vehicle. That will be a secondary factor because the EV speed, for a high speed EV, of course it will matter. Frontal area is the area of the vehicle where the air will directly hit on. So the windshield and the bonnet part will include frontal area. Transmission efficiency, obviously, any system is not 100% efficient. There will be some frictional losses and heat losses. So the transmission efficiency for our vehicle is a single gear transmission vehicle. So transmission efficiency for our vehicle is considered as vehicle gear ratio is considered as 90%. And some performance specification are acceleration time. So the vehicle should accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometer per hour in 10 seconds. So what we and for a optimal design, it should do that thing in a very less distance. uh, Gradability. Gradability is also a major factor which will impact the design parameters. I'll come to it in the traction motor design. And maximum speed expected from the vehicle will be 160 kilometer per hour. Next slide.
Yes.
Yeah. So whenever we are choosing a traction motor, so in series hybrid drivetrain, traction motor is the only driving uh, mechanically driving source. So what this is a major factor when we have to choose a right motor to get our electric vehicle to operate efficiently. So main things we consider while choosing a traction motor are acceleration performance, we are expecting from the EV, and the motor characteristics itself, because motor also have some efficiency factor. Motor, it should provide high torque at high speed. So we have, so not all the motors do that. We have to find a trade-off between motor speed and torque, and transmission characteristics. As I explained, transmission characteristics, the gear ratio which we are using should be efficient enough. Now, when we are driving on plain roads like highways and usually our city roads, so we consider we ignore the grade part. I'll come to it in the second part of this slide. But we'll understand the first equation. First equation is given by Pt is equal to m. First, the equation has three sections. First is the acceleration performance. So to accelerate the vehicle, what are the give maximum velocity and minimum velocity of the acceleration to the equation, and we get the this power required for acceleration part. The second and third are constant in any kind of calculations, because the rolling resistance and air drag will always be there for any EV. So when
They will not be constant. You can say constantly they will be present, but
sorry,
they will not be constant,
yeah,
because if VF increases at that time, those are. So you can say
yeah,
there are two parts
constantly.
mainly in the right side. First one is the tractive force. So this is actually a equation of. So first you should tell what is PT. PT is the tractive power, and
Power.
that is actually a function of first part is the required power, and second and third part this is the losses, and this
Losses.
losses are directly proportional to the vehicle speed.
Vehicle
Yes,
speed.
correct. Proceed.
Yes, sir. So when we substitute all the values for the constants such as GFR, the rolling resistance coefficient, and CD, which is drag coefficient for our vehicle, which we'll get from some softwares when we design the vehicle. So we have to optimize it properly to minimize the drag. AF will be frontal area again, as I explained, and rho is the air density. Air density and gravity acceleration are fairly constant, so we consider 9.8 and 1.22 as those values. Now when we put in these values in this equation for tractive power, we get around 82.5 kilowatt for the given acceleration which we mentioned in our design specifications. So now, in some special application, we need to overcome grades. That is in military applications and load carrying, high load. Consider in mines or forklifts, which are used in industries. Some grade, some grade has to be climbed. So the grade factor is added by mg sine alpha, which is the third part of the second equation, p power grade. Mg sine alpha, which will be multiplied by the velocity. Mg sine alpha is the force, and when multiplied with the velocity, it becomes power.
Correct.
So the third part accounts. Why we don't consider grade in a normal EV design is because when grade is added, the motor rating, the demand for motor rating significantly increases. So we have to carefully choose when we have to add the grade factor in our EV vehicle design. Farhan, next.
Correct.
So here we have a two-gear transmission. Basically, here the vehicle speed and tractive effort, tractive effort versus vehicle speed graph is shown. So our EV will be using a single gear, but in case of two-gear transmission, the vehicle will follow a certain graph. Curve ABDEF, curve ABDEF will be for a lower gear, where we get a higher torque, but the vehicle will operate at lower speeds. After that, for curve CDEF, when the maximum limit for first gear is reached, so the gear ratio can operate at a certain RPM limit. So when the maximum gear limit for first gear is reached, the user switches to second gear, where the vehicle has already gained some inertia, so it will not require that amount of torque. The that At that time we increase the speed, and we can reduce the required torque by increasing the gear ratio. Farhan, next.
So, design of traction gear ratio. Hello?
Farhan, next slide.
Yeah, you're audible. Farhan, please explain.
Yes, sir. I'll start. So, design of traction gear ratio. In the
Farhan?
design of, huh? No. Okay. In the
Yeah, you're audible. Proceed.
yes, sir. In the design of drivetrains, gear ratio is one of the important aspects. See, while designing this gear ratio, what it does is it
Hello.
maintains the torque and speed of the vehicle. So, and it is designed so that the vehicle should reach its maximum speed at motor's maximum speed. Now, to calculate the gear ratio in vehicle, to
Yeah,
calculate
proceed.
the
You're audible.
yes, sir. To calculate the gear ratio in a vehicle, we have used this formula IG equal to pi nm max. So where nm max is the motor maximum motor speed in RPM, and sir, while calculating a gear ratio, basically you should know what should be a vehicle's maximum speed on the terrain. So once you know that if it is a flat road or a steeping terrain, so you should know that what should be a vehicle's maximum speeds. Once you know that and you know the radius of the tire, then you can calculate the gear ratio. So what it does, here we have obtained, so you have to calculate the gear ratio. So in the gear ratio, it will maintain the torque and the speed. So here, considering that our vehicle has a 5000 RPM and we have to obtain a speed of 44.4 meters per second with a radius of tire of 0.2. So we have got a gear ratio of 3.2. Let's means rounding it off to 4. Then after this calculation, the graph which we obtained is here, which is the motor power versus speed ratio graph. Speed ratio is basically maximum speed of the vehicle divided by the base speed. So you can see that as the speed ratio increases, as the speed ratio increases, so as the speed ratio increases, the power demand will be less. As Ganesh mentioned, once the vehicle is started, it will require less torque to move forward. So we don't require, we need less torque but more speed. Then is acceleration, performance, and gradability. in electric vehicles, if our vehicle didn't meet the acceleration requirement, then we have to design everything. Means like the gear ratios and all has to be recalculated and all. Because, for example, your vehicle has to reach a speed of 0 to 100 in a time span of around 2 to 3 seconds, just considering. So if our vehicle doesn't accelerate within 2 seconds or 3 seconds, it doesn't reach 100 kilometer speed. So means it is not suitable for our application. That is, it won't carry that load, or it won't make that vehicle move on the certain terrain. Now, coming to
Hello,
gradability.
hello, Farhan. Sir left.
uh, sir left.
Yeah.
Okay. Ganesh. Yeah.
Please launch the slide.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'll continue from gear ratio, or
Yeah,
I'll.
this thing you had explained IG is equal to this. IG is equal to pi nm max. That was done, and that you
Huh.
had explained IG is equal to 3.29. That much part is understood. So start from
Yes.
there. After that, you are supposed to explain this graph. So please, IG is equal to 3.29 that you had said. After that, you start explaining. Restart. Yes, please.
So IG are gear ratio. So 3.29 we'll consider it as 4, calculation purposes. Then in this graph, according to this graph, as the speed ratio increases, as the speed ratio is just the maximum speed divided by the base speed. So as the speed ratio increases, the power requirement will go on decreasing. As mentioned earlier by Ganesh, that uh, uh, at higher speeds we need less torque, so the power requirement will be less. And yeah, this this is the explanation. And
Yeah, you can
here,
go to the next slide. This slide is done.
okay. Huh. So acceleration, performance, and gradability. Our vehicle should meet up our acceleration requirements. That is, for example, you have your vehicle should reach 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in around 3 seconds or 4 seconds. So considering this is an acceleration requirement, but if our vehicle didn't meet these requirements, then we have to go on recalculating everything. That is our gear ratio, then weight and all. We have to do certain adjustments so that our vehicle meets our requirements. It is very important. Otherwise, if it doesn't meet the acceleration requirement, then it cannot carry the load. And similarly, then coming to gradability is just the steep at which the vehicle can climb. Gradability is measured usually. Gradable is measured at constant speeds. So here in this graph, in this graph, gradability versus vehicle speed graph. Here we have in the y-axis it is gradability percentage. 100% gradability means 45 degree of incline. So the parameters which we had considered earlier, taking that same parameters and considering that our vehicle should have 100 vehicle when it is at 100 kilometer speed, then it can drive up to 15% of gradability, which means 15% of 45 degrees. So at a speed of 100, it can climb a 15-degree grade. And in the other graph over here, required acceleration and gradability graph, here you can see that speed ratio increases, which means what do we say? Speed ratio, as it increases, we have considered that speed ratio as it increases, which means uh, it's related to gear ratio increases. That is, the torque increases. So at higher torques, you can see here at higher speed ratios, the motor power rating means the power required by the motor will be less. Means, for example, see, whenever you climb a uphill, you always do it at first gear because you have more torque, so you can easily go up, and also the power rating is less. The power consumed by the motor is less, and the the parameters which we have considered for our calculation, according to that we have calculated a gradability which is very more than the required gradability. Actually, we had a gradability of 5%. In the first slide we had shown it. Should I show you the first slide, like the considerations which we had done?
So that was already done. That was a basic consideration. Understood.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay.
I would like to add for this graph, whichever is there shown in the right side. So this is a very important graph to understand. So first we are finding out that extended speed ratio is 2. So extended speed ratio definition is it is a maximum speed divided by base speed.
Base.
Okay. So here it is 2. That means here the base speed is very big. Okay, so in this case, if you are generating the torque required for gradability, the torque required for gradability is too high and torque required for acceleration is too less. But as you are going the right side, that means as you are going, the extended speed ratio is more. So extended speed ratio is more means the base speed is less. So in this case, gradability torque required and acceleration torque required, they are almost similar. Okay, so for lower extended speed ratio, the distance or the difference between gradability torque and acceleration torque is too much. You can find here it is around 750 and it is 250. This is actually graph which was explained during the lecture as well. So for lower extended speed ratio means where VB is high, that means speed is high. In those cases, the requirement for gradability and requirement for acceleration, these two torques will be, this difference is too much. But as you are decreasing the base speed or as you are increasing the extended torque ratio, extended speed ratio, in that case these two differences are getting smaller. That means it is going to generate a higher amount of torque. So this graph is both these three graphs just in the previous slide and this slide, this. So these three are the heart of designing the torque for acceleration and torque for gradability. And generally there is a confusion in understanding these graphs. So because other parameters you have to understand at the same time, what is base speed, what is extended speed ratio, what is gradability torque, what is acceleration torque. So these three graphs you have to understand very well, and I think they will be asked in the exams also. So please prepare these three graphs very well. Okay, we can go to the next one.
Yes. Just another point was that once we have calculated for gradability, then the acceleration is included in it because the requirement of gradability is more compared to acceleration performance. That was all.
Gradability requires more power than the acceleration.
Acceleration, yes, sir.
Correct. Yes. Go for the next one.
Design of engine or generator size. Sir, this will be done by Ganesh.
Yes.
Hello, Ganesh.
Ganesh, you are mute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we are designing an engine or generator, so in a series hybrid vehicle, the engine is not directly coupled with the transmission. As I was talking, engine generator. So in a series hybrid electric vehicle, in the drivetrain, the engine is not directly coupled to the transmission. So whenever extra mechanical friction increases on the vehicle, it is not directly on the engine. So we have the freedom to operate this engine, which is coupled to a generator, in its optimal operating range. So we have that is one of the main advantages of series hybrid drivetrain. So for this series hybrid drivetrain engine generator size, we consider again we consider two cases. One is the highway case uh, uh, where we drive the vehicle at a constant speed. It is a high speed, but no acceleration is required. And in second condition, we see the urban cycles where constant start stop is required. So acceleration deceleration is continuous. So as we can see here, we see two equations. P engine, which is the power required from the engine when the vehicle is driving in on the highway at a constant speed. So here again, air drag and rolling resistance is contribute to the resistance of the vehicle. So we have to overcome them, and then this is multiplied with the velocity at which the vehicle will be traveling to get the power demanded from the by the vehicle. So and NT and NM are the efficiency of the transmission and motor. Yeah. So in second, the first equation which we saw, it will be used on when the vehicle will be traveling at constant speed. But in second equation, again we do the same thing, but we include one more element in this equation, that is the acceleration deceleration factor. Because in traffic, in roads where there is much of traffic, the vehicle continuously needs to start and stop. So we have to sum up all the acceleration and deceleration forces in the complete drive cycle. So the second term sums up, integrates all from the time where we measure. The second term sums up all the acceleration and deceleration forces required and adds it to the power. Now here we see a graph. Here we can see that as the speed, constant speed at which the vehicle will be traveling increases for this R design specification, 1500 kgs passenger car. For ideal cases, not the losses are not incurred here. So as the constant speed at which vehicle will be driving increases, the load power demanded by the vehicle will also increase. For our next slide.
Next, okay.
So as I discussed again, there are two cases. One is on constant there are two cases where we operate the vehicle. One is a constant speed and other is start stopping. So depending on these two, there are two possible operating regions where an engine can be operated. When as I said, the engine is not directly coupled with the transmission, so we can operate the engine at our desired region for the to get the maximum performance from the engine. So here in the graph we can see for case A, where the fuel consumption is very minimum, and the engine operates at a very efficient in a very efficient manner. But sometimes what happens is the batteries drain out. So when the batteries drain out, the engine has to charge the PPS, which are peak power source, and also supply the power to the traction motor. So in that time, the motor has to push its limits and go out of the optimal zone. And we can see point B, where the fuel consumption obviously increases, but the requirements are satisfied.
Yeah.
For our next
slide, okay. So then comes power capacity of PPS. Sir, PPS is nothing but peak power source. So peak power source, it is in electric vehicles, it is actually a battery, but here it is mentioned as peak power source because in other vehicles it can be a flywheel or something else. Now in an in electric vehicles, the peak power source, which is the batteries, its power should be greater than that of the motor, or at least equal to the motor's power. See, from this equation, we can see that if you just bring the P of engine or generator to the left hand side, so considering that the power of the motor required will be the sum of both the engine power and the battery's power, that is our PPS. So from our calculations, the general considerations which we have taken, we calculate that the power required for our vehicle for the consideration will be 64.5 kilowatt. Here we are dividing the motor by efficiency, because all motors don't have 100% efficiency. So that will be our 95 or 90% efficiency of the motor will be the loss which we have to add to the battery's power. So while selecting a PPS, we should make sure that it has greater power rating. For example, here if we have a power rating of 64 kilowatt, so we can select a motor which has a power rating of 60 kilowatt or 50 kilowatt, like that. So it should be less than the motor power rating should be less than the PPS power. Now some points here we have considered. We have important points while considering a PPS is the weight and the volume are determined by its power capability, and also in recent hybrid vehicles, both battery and ultra capacitor would be a much smaller and lighter option for a PPS than others. Then these parameters of the formula are explained that P motor is the maximum rated power of the motor, N motor is efficiency of the motor, and power of engine or generator system is PEG. That's it. Then comes design of energy capacity of PPS. The graph here is about the energy changes in PPS, changes in PPS. So this graph is basically that it is done to show the state of charge. What we do is the bottom. Just a minute. We have to maintain the SOC, that is state of charge of the battery, should be between the bottom and the top of these of the graph. This graph is just to it is a strategy to have an SOC between that range. So in this graph, the positives are the representing the charging cycles, charging power, and negatives are representing the discharging. This is for a general FT75 urban drive cycle, how the energy changes vary, and the formula delta E. This formula is just calculating the average of the total power, and then we substitute it over here. And as I said, it is about calculating the SOC between the top and bottom. So it is just a strategy to maintain the SOC. Then the energy variation, some typical drive cycles. That's it. And the final part is the fuel consumption. So in hybrid electric, in series hybrid drivetrain, along with the battery, there are other losses also. Along with the battery, when the generator works, the generator will also charge the battery. But overall, if we look at it, there are certain losses in series hybrid drivetrain. And hybrid vehicles, in electric vehicles, we have a better acceleration performance. So in stop and go, which means in the cities which we drive these vehicles, it will have a less fuel consumption than the conventional vehicles which we use. So conventional vehicles have a rather greater losses in acceleration points compared to EV vehicles, because the motor is directly because we use an electric motor in these cases. And the main reason for choosing EVs is the high operating efficiency of the engine and significant amount of braking. Yeah, in EVs we have regenerative braking, which helps us to recover the lost energy in braking. That is, through regenerative braking, we can also charge the batteries back and have a better efficiency of the vehicle. Yes, sir. That's it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, correct. So it's a very big presentation what they have given. So this you can find at the end of the 8th module, and this is actually a part of our syllabus. There is a case study of design of series hybrid vehicle. So there is PEG, that is engine generator power is there, then PPS power is there, and together sometimes they are giving the generating the traction power. So at the end of 8th module in the book of Ehsani, you will be finding all this discussion what they have given. So good performance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So you can log off now. Sorry, you can at least stop presenting. So I request Gaurish and Siddharth to take up and present now.